into our time of meditation. As we take in all these thoughts and feelings that are circulating through us this morning as we think about motherly love. So let's take this moment to just take a nice deep breath and just allow it to move in and through you. And as you breathe in, you observe letting go. As you breathe out, you observe letting go. This helps us to look deeply, to give up desire and attachment, to give up fear and anger. We don't let go of reality. We let go of our wrong perceptions about reality. The more we let go, the happier we become. So again, center, relax your body, breathe in, observing letting go, and breathe out as you physically let go. We don't hold the breath for any length of time. It's always breathing us as we are breathing in and breathing out. I want to share this sweet little poem with you about our source and how this one person understood source at a very young age. And we'll then move into the silence. Continue breathing and letting go. Breathing and letting go. Source. My mother showed me. She pulled a carrot right up out of the ground before my eyes. She ran it under the garden tap and held it out to me. Still warm from the earth, my baby teeth tested its crisp giving body in that one gesture. My mother on her knees in Ohio. Source. We take these words, these feelings and thoughts as we let go with every breath in the silence. And we feel that gentle breath breathing us. And as we breathe in, we observe the letting go of tension, of stress, of worry. And we breathe out, observing the letting go. And as we breathe in, I make up my mind. I make my mind happy. And as I breathe out, I make my mind happy. As I breathe in, I smile. As I breathe out, I smile and feel the loving energy of the universe moving in and through me as me. And it is good and very, very good. And we let go now as we move our conscious attention back into the room, into the Zoom. We are grateful. And so it is. Amen. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, I am unmuted. Okay. That was beautiful, John and Paula. Well, Paula was our soloist there. And happy Mother's Day. And thank you so much. Okay. Are you ready? Well, this morning I'm happy to report I did find matching socks, so I'll get that out of the way. And of course, we're going to talk about motherhood. today. And from a micro view in the USA in the 50s, from there to a from the 50s in a prevailing time, when the perspective was what it was in the US. And then we'll move into a macro view, the big view, the underlying view, our divinity, the divine feminine energy that's in us all. So I'm going to start with this sweet story written by a woman who is very dear to me. Her name is Patty. And she tells about growing up in the 50s in a typical, or so it seems, typical family. And the title of her story is Things My Mother Taught Me. And this is a true story. Growing up in the 50s, my life mimicked the popular TV shows of the time, Ozzie and Harriet or the Donna Reed Show. Stay-at-home moms and family dinners were the norm, and everyone walked home from school for a hot lunch. Things weren't as fast-paced as they are today, and children played outside and didn't bounce from one after-school activity to another. Of course, that would have been difficult because there was only one family car and Dad had to drive to work every day. Hard to believe. It didn't seem to destroy us, though. In fact, I'd say we became inventive thinkers and learned to entertain ourselves rather than depending on PlayStation, cell phones, and computers. Most of all, moms were different. The main career and focus was being a mom. And if you were lucky, you had a memorable one. Bessie Jane, my mom, was named after the family horse. Her birth order was somewhere in between the middle of 9 children and 4 more half brothers and sisters. My cousins always thought of her as the ditzy aunt. In the midst of a calm conversation, she would suddenly start yodeling just to get everyone's attention, and her sneezes could shake the china cabinet. Mom took her job as a homemaker seriously. She taught me many practical things: how to wrap a present, how to make perfect corners with the sheets when making the bed, and how to iron. Oh boy, I sure love that. In the kitchen, she taught me how to snap fresh green beans, husk corn, and how to make a perfect pie crust. In the community, she taught me that it was okay to look silly in a giant bunny suit if it makes the kids in the neighborhood happy on Easter at their Easter egg hunt. Mom taught me to have a good work ethic. She was always busy around the house, painting, gardening, laundry. She had even ironed the bed sheets. Everything at home was neat and tidy. She used to say, our house may have some dirt, but it's clean dirt. In my youth, I learned such pearls of wisdom as don't look down when you walk in public because people will think you're ashamed of yourself. Or freshen up before your husband comes home from work so he'll be happy to be home. Some of this stuff just takes my breath away. That's the way life was perceived. Her favorite was never let a boy put his hand on your knee. She said, I used to think that that's how a girl got pregnant. There was a dark side of Mom from which I learned as well. Bessie had a strong negative opinions about African Americans and foreigners. Traveling in the South on vacation, though I was only a young girl, I vividly remember her leaving a restaurant when a Black waitress appeared at our table to serve us. Another time at Disney World, she told a group of Asian tourists to speak American. As a child, I knew not to challenge her at her beliefs, but I learned from her example that it was something I did not want to copy. My beliefs were formed by watching hatred and prejudice and taking that knowledge and doing the opposite. Unfortunately, Mom went through menopause while I was going through puberty. That was probably why my dad was bald. She was feisty and volatile while I was weepy and confused. She chose this time to send me to charm school and ballroom dance. Her gawky, ugly duckling daughter needed polishing. And though I towered over her in height, she could still make me bend over as she swatted my behind with a spelling book for any back talk. Through it all, Especially when I became a parent myself, I marveled at what a good childhood I had and how many things I learned from my mother. I melted as I watched Mom play with my sons, her grandsons. That was her best role, the gift of time and patience. Bessie's gone now. She's helping God keep heaven clean. She's laughing with her siblings and holding hands with my dad, her husband of 60 years. Yet I continue to feel her presence when I cradle my infant granddaughter. Looking back over my life, without a doubt, I know now the most important thing I learned from my mother. A great mother has an unconditional love that is so strong, she's able to put the life and well-being of her child ahead of her own. In some cases, that means giving the child up for the chance to have a better life. That love is what I learned from my mother. For you see, my mother's name is Joanne. She gave me up for adoption, and Bessie became a mom. And the rest of that story, and I may have shared before, but the author of this story is my sister, Patty. And some would say she's a half sister, but boy, she sure feels like a whole sister to me. We met in 2006. Up until that time, I didn't even know she existed. Through my whole childhood and into adulthood, the four of us kids by Joanne and Paul, my wonderful father, my parents were so much of what she said there was so, we were both in Ohio and small towns. We lived about 60 miles from each other. She thought she was an only child, but here she had four siblings. I thought I was the second oldest, and I was stuck in the middle of five. We've gotten to know one another, and we are so blessed at the similarities, and we're blessed for Bessie, who loved her, and Joanne, who birthed her. And so, life is so wonderfully expansive. And when we talk, it's just like, I knew that. Oh, yeah, your mom did that too. It's been wonderful, and we're very grateful. But life, we know, is more expansive than that. It's like I said, typical family in the 50s. But were they? Patty was adopted. She was an only child. So let's shift now from this personal view, a very commercialized view of life in the 50s that many of us lived through. I was more in this. I was born late in the 50s, so I didn't have quite the same experiences. Our mothers were very much alike. So let's look at family through the lens of the mother energy within the divine. The feminine that resides within us all, within my sisters Patty and Paula and brothers Terry and Tim, between Patty's birth mom and her adopted mom. The divine feminine doesn't mean exclusively girly or soft. Those are commercialized versions of what feminine means. In truth, wherever we hover on the gender spectrum, even if we identify as female at all, the divine feminine is through us all. It seems it would be so clear to we humans that life is a spectrum in this one presence and one power that we talk about all the time. One, not two, not billions, one that provides us everything we need. But nature shows us that spectrum in the colors of the rainbow, in the light and the dark, in the way our brains work, and the range of emotions we have, the beauty and diversity of nature right outside our window. We label them as good and bad and pretty and ugly. These are words that we made up, and they're individual perceptions, and that's all right. We need diversity. Life would really be pretty darn boring if we were all just doing the same thing. To expand on the divine feminine, I want to share from a book by Mirabai Starr called Wild Mercy. Now, I haven't read the whole book, but I went through and found some things that I felt were very, very relevant to this today. She talks about the mother energy within the divine feminine that connects us all. And I quote, female relationships take many forms. Some women do not have a mom to remind them of who they really are. That is a radiant being worthy of everything good. So we can adopt one. There are lonesome mothers everywhere in need of a daughter or a son. They exist in kindly neighbors, invisible authors, and in Mother Earth. Some moms are no longer alive, and we ache for their embrace. We can be still, close our eyes, and turn into that part of ourselves, that part of her that always and forever is united. We can even talk to her on the way to the grocery store or while we plant lettuce. And she goes on to say, those who have not had children can harness that unspent maternal energy and go forth and mother the world. Pick someone especially in need of our motherly love and mother them. And this includes our pets. We have some have been so deeply damaged by our mothers that we recoil from the company of women. The whole notion of divine mother may trigger our woundedness in the ways we were or were not mothered. But no reason to force a connection to the sacred feminine. Maybe our true home rests in the formlessness. We may find refuge in the holy emptiness, devoid of binary characteristics, free from traumatic associations. This is that expansiveness of the universe, of life. Now, Patty and I and our siblings were blessed by both women who gave life and love to our sister. We had very caring and loving fathers too. So mothers don't always mean female, but that's a topic for another day. So some stories of adoption do not turn out as happy as ours did. And yet the divinity, the whole diverse spectrum of the female and male can be called upon to heal us, to guide us, to nurture us, always and in all ways. Prayer, meditation, quiet contemplation, a walk in nature, laughter with a friend, finding that space within us that doesn't judge, that doesn't wish we had a different mother or that we were a better mother or a biological mother at all. The holy place that resides within us, breathes us, is pure love. One presence, one power. Little and often we allow ourselves to open to this love, to forgive, and to embrace this now moment. Truth, capital T, is there, is one presence and one power that is back of the whole spectrum of life. Where we live in that spectrum does not mean we are stuck there. Here's another quote from Mirabai. Women, whether in our biology, our identities, our spiritual practice, or our work, here's the cry of the world resounding in the center of our own nervous system. The milk of our soul comes rushing forth to feed the hungry and comfort the frightened. So wherever you are on the spectrum of mother, is your unique and divine feminine nature expressing through you. father, mother, sister, brother, male, female. You see, we're all the same energy. And thankfully, to keep life from being dull, we each tune in to different frequencies, different parts of that spectrum by different names and different faces and different places. They look and feel different for each of us, yet we need only take a moment and look a little deeper, and we find that connection. If we believe any of what we teach and what we hear, what we read, we can just take a moment and find that place. And if I could change anything in this world, it would be to allow each of us to be who we are on those spectrums, to not identify, to not feel like we have to explain whether we're male or female, gay or straight, trans, bi. That's what I would change. We're all one in this. Why do we have to explain? We can find our way in this life from this one. As we individually turn within and find her, we turn within and recognize him as life, as love, as a flow of the divine energy that genuinely nurtures us always and in all ways, right here and right now. You don't have anything to get to. Just take a breath. There you are. And my dear friends, you can rest assured that you are a radiant being worthy of everything. Happy Mother's Day. Amen.